Hello and welcome to the news on HOMEF TV. I am Kome Odomo. First, the highlights. HOMEF celebrates Nimobasi on the Wellenberg Medal. African fishers unite against pollution. Socio-economic impact of environmental degradation. South African community march for climate action demands government's response to flood. Now the news in details. Health of Mother Earth Foundation is jubilant as its executive director, Dr. Nimo Basi, has been honored with the 2024 Wellenberg Medal Award. Basi's receipt of this award makes him the first Nigerian and the fifth African to achieve this distinction. It's a testament of his significant contribution to environmental advocacy. This recognition places him in esteemed company of global humanitarians. Our correspondent Onome Etisere completes the report.
The 2024 Wellenberg Medal, presented on 10 September 2024 at the Ross School of Business, Robertson Auditorium at the University of Michigan, is a tribute to exceptional humanitarians. It honors those who have shown extraordinary dedication to protecting the vulnerable and oppressed, much like Raoul Wallenberg, the Swedish diplomat who saved thousands of Jews during and after World War II, and after whom the award is named. In his acceptance speech and lecture, We Are Relatives, Dr. Nimo Basi underscored love, humility, dignity, and respect as the cornerstone of his vision for a sustainable future for all beings. He emphasized that as an environmental justice advocate, his work is rooted in understanding the complex crises faced in our world today and the importance of addressing their underlying causes rather than just their symptoms.
One of our key struggles has been to gain an understanding of the mindset that permits inequalities in our societies. The mindset that elevates might over care and love. The mindset that promotes the individual rather than the community. The mindset that refuses to understand that we are relatives.
Basi further noted that climate action and inaction provides pictures that help us to see the difficulties we face in building a consensus that the climate crisis is global, not national. Joyce Brown, Director of Programs at Health of Mother Earth Foundation, on behalf of the organization, applauds the Executive Director for his outstanding performance.
We are inspired by your relentless and exceptional contribution to the movement for environmental justice across the world, and we hope that your vision for a world where all beings live together in solidarity, in dignity, and in harmony with Mother Earth comes to actualization. Thank you for being a great leader. Congratulations.
Understanding the roots of the polio crisis helps us to see the phenomenon of expanding sacrifice zones in our world today. It also places on us the duty of standing with the oppressed to halt the expansion of those zones in Nigeria, in Africa, and everywhere they may manifest, by seeking to overcome the energy and other hegemonic transitions that sacrifice nature and are driven by colonial extractivism built on embedded geopolitical power imbalances that refuse to tilt the right way.
On the occasion, the Swedish ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Urban Arlin, extolled Raoul Wallenberg's virtues and enjoined the audience to dedicate their lives to the cause of humanity, so they may be remembered just as Wallenberg was being recognized. Other speakers included the chair of the awards committee, Dr. Siobhan Harlow, and the provost of the university, Professor Laurie Macaulay. Onome Etisere for HOMEF TV.
South Durban, an island in South Africa, is a community with more than half of its landmass covered with water. Fishers cannot fish in the surrounding water bodies due to the restriction on the Gruntu Gully area. With support of Fishnet Alliance, a collective of African fishers, it has been instrumental in resisting pressured fishing. In a one-day field trip to the port of Gruntu Gully fishing area in South Durban, it exposed that the dock operators dislodged their sludge from the ship and machines into the ocean. Our correspondent Stanley Egolo has the details.
The Gruntu Gully used to be where polluted water are washed into. However, Continuous and adequate advocacy has been pushing for the companies responsible for treating the water from their facilities before releasing it to the gully. This advocacy is crucial in ensuring the health of the environment and the sustainability of our fishing systems, showing power of collective action in making a difference. During the field visit, the host, KwaZulu-Natal Subsistence Fishing Forum leader, John Peters, narrated how the unjust situation has significantly affected the lives and livelihood of the fishers, making the fight more crucial. He noted that fishers in South Durban had faced challenges when it came to fishing, as they were not allowed to fish in the open waters, which could lead to arrest and prosecution.
A lot of the time, our fishers, artisanal fishers, have been criminalized. They have been abused, they have been repressed, and they have been subdued. You can imagine when you talk about pollution, when even the scientists know the drivers of pollution, it is hard for them to call it by the name. Instead, they tell you that the fishers are doing what they call overcapacity, or they tell you that there is irregular, unreported, and unregulated fishing, when we know that the fishers do not own vessels. All we have are fishers.
We always say that our fisher folks, as much as we respect academics, as much as we respect scientists, because we have the knowledge without a formal qualification and a piece of paper, they should not criminalize us and punish us.
What we're fighting for is for all of us, for all our children, to make sure that we win. We talk about winnable issues, and this is an area that's winnable. When we open it up, some of the ladies that you see here, we never open up our own. We bring people, we bring the community to come, because we want them to see that the effort that they put in is also something that they must share.
Different fishers spoke of their challenges and success stories. The situation showed that all fishers are victims of oil extraction and oppression from coronation operations along the shores, rivers, and oceans.
We used to catch a lot of fish in the days back, sent our children to school, put food on the table, paid our bills. And right now, it's no more like before, because right now I'm gone very sick. I had a collapsed lung, and then my liver is swollen. I can't fish anymore because of all the pollution, all this toxic. And it's not the same, because what money you used to make then, you can't do it now.
You see, sometimes you can't get the slime if it's raining. See, if it's raining, you can't fish, because the slime is full in the water. 10 years ago was better, because there's a place here where we catch fish, there in that corner there. Now they say you're not allowed to fish there. The government, this government here, they say we can't fish there. You see those boats? Those boats there. You can't go and fish there. Yeah, you can't go and fish there. That's why we bought this fence. We made this place here. We put this fence here. We cut this grass. It was bush here. Yeah, we did maintenance here. We got the key for the toilet. There was no toilets here. There was no toilets. We put toilets.
The continuation of extractive projects violates the rights of artisanal fishers, and the installation of oil and gas infrastructure exposes coastal communities to danger, is destructive to their livelihoods. Fishnet Alliance pledges to stand in solidarity with its members and other fishing communities in the struggle, while denouncing and rejecting any form of water grab to produce green hydrogen. Members call for the need to protect the deltas and other areas in Africa. Artisanal fishers must be recognized, consulted, supported, protected, and their voices must be heard in policy discourse. Stanley Egolo, HOMEF TV.
Climate change and its impact has affected individual livelihoods and means of survival, forcing people to react in a manner that has resulted in inter- and intra-communal conflicts and insecurity. In a two-day experts meeting on the theme, Climate Change, Insecurity and Conflicts in the Niger Delta, which exposes the crisis associated with climate change in communities. Our correspondent Nena Abo completes the report.
A two-day expert meeting organized by Frederick Ebert Stiftung and her movement partner, Health of Mother Earth Foundation, centered on climate change as a security threat, had various stakeholders, members of impoverished communities, and civil society organizations dived into how climate change has exacerbated conflicts in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. It was established that insecurity, conflicts, and climate change are interrelated. The meeting was a follow-up of research carried out by HOMEF to examine climate change, insecurity, and conflict in the Niger Delta. The research showed that people in impacted communities know about climate change due to their environmental interaction.
The research was actually carried out by the Health of Mother Earth Foundation, and we had many researchers going to 5 communities in Nigeria and 2 communities in Togo and 2 communities in Sierra Leone. Now, what we went out to do was to find out what are the climate impacts in these coastal communities. The research is focused on coastal communities. What are the climate impacts, and what are the people losing, and what needs to be done? So it's a research that presents a blueprint for policy making, and that is why there's been layers of engagement. The research has been presented to security agencies. It's been presented at research level to communities, and recently we revisited all the communities where the research was carried out, and we're also making out plans on how to empower the communities to withstand the most pressing issues confronting them.
One of the practical steps to be taken is what we are doing, sharing this information of what is actually in the field, and also making sure that all the stakeholders who are working in the area of climate change, insecurity, and conflicts coming together to also see how we can spread the news across, and also ensure that policies that are in place, especially in this region, are also being utilized, in terms of ensuring that the people who are actually those who are being impacted also understand their own role. So remember, this is a collective approach that we all need to take in tackling the issues of climate change in the region.
There is need for us to see the intersection between climate change, insecurity, and conflicts. When people are getting into communities and taking over communities because they have nowhere else to go, because water or rising water levels has pushed them out of where they originally used to live, then we are creating new levels of community crisis.
This year, 2024, is particularly a year that most cities around the world have suffered severe flooding and lost so much, in the process. The damages have been very, very severe all around the world. As we speak, I think there is issue of a massive devastation, even in Poland, and so on, that is still going on. For us in Nigeria, it has started. Release of water from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon has started. Eventually, it will get down here to the south. So, how well have we prepared to be able to deal with this situation when it gets here? So, issues of mitigation, issues of resilience, and particularly adaptation. That is to make sure that the people can have the means of livelihood when they are faced with such challenges.
Nina Abo for HOMEF TV.
Let's go to South Africa. Life Africa has expressed its commitment to standing with affected communities in a mass march by over 20 community organizations from Hilton H, Jeffreys Bay, and Humans Job joined forces to call for immediate action on escalating climate issues. An initiative spearheaded by Eastern Cape Combined Environmental Forum with support of Life Africa Johannesburg, the protests spotlighted the devastating impacts of recent floods and ongoing environmental pollution, which continue to cripple local communities. Life's Thabo Sibiko noted the support to ECEF and its partners in amplifying these urgent climate issues, saying the recent floods are just an example of how hard climate change is hitting communities, adding that residents of Kwa Nobule have been suffering from severe air pollution, which not only affects their health and well-being, but also worsen global warming and increasing the likelihood of future disasters. Local activists from Friendly Environment in Kwa Nobule noted that the march to the municipal office was to remind the local government of its promise they have broken. Kwa Nobule has been without water for months, and dangerous roads and pollution in the air has worsened the situation. The march also called for more vigorous enforcement of environmental regulations, with many pointing out that industries in the region continues to pollute the air, leaving them at risk. Their demand for better communication, education, and inclusion in disaster planning echoed throughout the protest. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll go to Port Harcourt. Have you ever wondered what you buy when you visit those big supermarkets?
The consumption of GMOs are linked with various health implications, including cancers, immune disorders, liver and kidney issues.
It's really sad to know that the beans that I eat for my moi moi,
your akara,
the local pancakes are being affected by all of these field trials.
If we really want to address food insecurity, this is a call on the government to look inwards to address the structural issues, the fundamental issues that are actually hindering productivity.
Agroecology is the way out. A multi-stakeholder dialogue organized by We the People to discuss the threats against shrinking civil society space and design advocacy strategy emphasized the challenges posed by state-level policies, the militarization of the area, and the effects of oil-related pollution, which further pressures civic freedom. The executive director of We the People, Ken Henshaw, highlighted the historic erosion of civic liberties and the growing hostility towards CSO groups, particularly at state level, where local policies often impose burdensome and costly restriction. He emphasized the need for civic actors in the Niger Delta to be proactive, given the region's unique challenges. We the People legal officer Leonard Oragwe outlined federal-level legislative efforts to restrict civic space, including the NGO Regulation Bill, which proposes stringent oversight and registration requirements. He argued that these regulations are excessive and dangerous, granting the government too much power over civil society. The dialogue concluded with several resolutions, such as legal reforms, in which participants called for a repealing restrictive laws and creating supportive legislations to protect CSO operations. They emphasized strengthening partnerships among CSOs, the private sectors, and international organizations to combat the shrinking civil space. Participants agreed to develop frameworks for documenting and reporting civic spaces abuses in the Niger Delta. The group presented a report on civic space repression in the Niger Delta, titled Behind the Scene: State Attacks on Civil Freedom in the Niger Delta. Nigerians have rejected GMOs in the past, especially with the release of telomeres in different forums and online, where GMOs have been discussed. Thousands of Nigerians have condemned government defense deployments of GMOs, highlighting the health and environmental risk in an attempt to control Nigerians' food system and the need to address food insecurity. Our correspondent Esele Ojanelo completes the report.
In a chat on our flagship talk show, Ikike Digest, Joyce Brown, a public health scientist and the director of programs at Health of Mother Earth Foundation, emphasized the need for Nigerians to endorse and invest in agroecology, a sustainable system of farming that addresses significant food system challenges in Nigeria.
So there are studies that have shown that agroecology increases productivity by over 100%. So it's already demonstrated, and not far away from us, there's a farm in Kwale, in Abuja, where agroecology is practiced on a large scale. And since its inception in 2019, no chemical fertilizer, no chemical pesticide, that's the inorganic pesticides and fertilizers, none of that has been used on the farm. But the farm is thriving. In fact, where the pests are ravaging other nearby farms, their farm is intact because of course, biological pest management, agroforestry, mixed cropping, introducing animals on the farm, because these animals, of course, produce the manure that they use on the farm. All of this is encompassed in agroecology.
Joyce Brown highlighted the need for Nigerians to take precautions when purchasing products from the market, urging them to carefully look through the product's labels to avoid consuming genetically modified foods.
So for the consumer out there, you want to know how to identify those processed foods that contain genetically modified ingredients. You go to the back of the products where the ingredients are listed. Just check in between, you might see, made from genetically modified maize or soy, or produced with genetic engineering, or made from bioengineered ingredients, or those sort of things. So just take a look at the back of the product where the ingredients are listed, or beneath where the ingredients are listed.
She urged the government to invest in and support small-scale farming, provide extension services to local farmers, and solve the country's insecurity rather than pushing GMO seeds to Nigerians. Esele Ojanelo for HOMEF TV.
The East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP, is a major infrastructure oil project designed to transport crude oil from Uganda's Albertine region to Tanzania port of Tanga. Despite all of its economic benefits, the project poses significant risk to the Murchison Falls National Park, Lake Albert, and the people of Albertine. Amidst promise of prosperity, community and the environment have become a shadow of itself. The construction, exploration, and operation of EACOP, as well as the Kingfisher and Tilinga oil project, threatens key hotspot areas of biodiversity, from pristine beauty of wildlife in the park and the tranquil waters of Lake Albert. The specter of displacement looms large, endangering livelihoods and the very fabric of their cultural heritage. In a response, host communities of East African crude oil pipelines are spearheading various initiatives to build resilience amongst youth and women. While the EACOP project presents potential economic opportunities, the adverse effects on the environment and local communities cannot be overlooked. Through education, exposure, advocacy, and active resistance, the host community network is committed to safeguarding the future of the community. It embodies hope, uniting community voices to safeguarding their future and that of the environment, where nature and humanity coexist in harmony, paving way for a cleaner and brighter future. Many thanks for staying with us, and that's the news on HOMEF TV. I am Kome Odomo.